Romans 9 verse 20. On the contrary, who are you, O man, who answers back to God? The thing molded will not say to the molder, "Why did you make me like this?" Romans 9 is one of the most profound chapters in the Bible because it confronts us with God's absolute sovereignty. In this verse, the Apostle Paul responds to an objection that naturally arises when people hear that God is completely sovereign over his creation. Instead of allowing human reasoning to sit in judgment over God, Paul reminds us of a simple but powerful truth. God is the creator, and we are his creation. The picture Paul uses comes from the potter and the clay. A potter has the authority to shape the clay according to his own design. The clay has no right to question the potter's wisdom or purpose. Likewise, we do not stand above God as his judges. He is infinitely wise, holy, righteous, and good. His plans extend far beyond what our limited minds can understand. This does not mean that God is unfair. Throughout Scripture, God consistently reveals himself as perfectly just and perfectly loving. What Paul is correcting is the attitude of human pride that demands God explain himself before we are willing to trust him. That attitude is very common today. Many people ask questions such as, "Why did God allow this tragedy? Why was I born with these struggles? Why does God permit suffering? Why doesn't God save everyone?" These are honest questions that many believers wrestle with. God is not offended by sincere questions asked in faith. Many of the Psalms contain heartfelt cries asking why, but Romans 9 verse 20 addresses something different. It speaks against a heart that challenges God's authority, as though he owes his creatures an explanation or must justify his decisions to us. Modern culture encourages us to believe that every authority must answer to us. People often treat God as though he were accountable to human opinion. If they disagree with his commands regarding morality, salvation, judgment, or holiness, they simply reject him. Paul reminds us that this reverses reality. God does not answer to humanity. Humanity answers to God. This truth also speaks into our personal lives. Perhaps you wonder why your life has taken unexpected turns. Maybe you struggle with illness, loneliness, disappointment, financial hardship, or unanswered prayers. It is natural to desire answers, yet there are moments when God simply calls us to trust his character instead of demanding complete explanations. The book of Job illustrates this beautifully. After losing nearly everything, Job asked many difficult questions. When God finally spoke, he did not explain every detail of his plan. Instead, he revealed his greatness, wisdom, and power. Job's response was humility and worship because he realized God's understanding far exceeded his own. Romans 9 verse 20 invites us to the same humility. Humility does not mean ignoring difficult questions. Rather, it means recognizing that God's wisdom is infinite while ours is limited. Isaiah 55:8-9 reminds us that God's thoughts are higher than our thoughts, and his ways higher than our ways. What appears confusing today may one day reveal God's perfect purpose, or it may remain a mystery until eternity. This verse also reminds believers that our identity comes from our Creator, not from the changing opinions of society. The world tells people to define themselves however they choose. Scripture teaches that our Creator lovingly designed us with purpose. Rather than asking, "Why did you make me this way?" we should ask, "Lord, how can I glorify you with the life you have given me?" For Christians, Romans 9 verse 20 ultimately points us toward trust. The God who formed the universe is the same God who sent his Son Jesus Christ to die for sinners and rise again. If we trust him for our eternal salvation, we can also trust him with the unanswered questions of life. Our peace does not come from understanding everything God does. Our peace comes from knowing the one who does everything perfectly. Reflection: when life does not make sense, remember that you are not holding the potter in your hands. The potter is holding you. His wisdom never fails, his purposes never falter, and his love for those who belong to Christ never ends. Instead of questioning his right to rule, let us humbly submit to him, trusting that the hands shaping our lives belong to a perfectly wise, holy, and faithful God.